going to say we're going live right now, too.
Yep. This is the Dumbbells, a personal fitness podcast where I'm Eugene Cordero.
And me, I'm Ryan Stanger, have discussions and answer questions on all things health and fitness.
This is solely based on our own working experience, a little bit of bro science.
So please keep in mind, we're not doctors. Never claim to be.
No, we don't. Just a couple of dumbbells lovers have some fitness. Want to help you with yours.
And the help can start right now, baby.
Yeah. You know, if you're watching us live on YouTube, even in the intro, it looks like Stanger is reading the intro, like he doesn't know it, but he's not. He's just letting the people on Instagram and on our social media know that we are live right now. And, go ahead and go crazy on those questions for us.
Yeah, I'm just pulling this up and I'm not fast at doing it, but I will get it done.
Very slow at any kind of technology is this Ryan Stanger. Can watch a movie. Knows how to throw a DVD or a laser disc in that player.
Yep. Can absolutely still use my laser disc player, no problem. So I'm up to speed on that technology.
No problem making sure that his Betamax is pushed down and ready to start rolling.
Push down.
You got to push that Betamax down like it's a cartridge. It's not even like a video. It's like a straight up cartridge, I think.
It is. And then
but yeah. Oh, we should also, I would love to do like one where we go jump back onto Instagram too, but that's for another time. I feel like for good reason, all main social media in that way where it's just focused on social media. I don't even know what I'm saying or how I'm saying this, but is still honestly focused on like the world around us right now.
Yeah, it's tough to know what to post, when to, and it just feels a little gross sometimes to clog up that stuff with things that aren't related to positive change or causes or activism.
The thing is honestly, it's the time now where, people are like, don't go back to normal, or it's not about getting back to normal. It's like, oh, well, it's not about being normal. It's like whatever this new world is, it's making sure that we're focused in on, that our whole thing isn't about where we brunch. And I mean, right now, if you brunch, you're going to get shit for too.
Yeah, dude, you shouldn't be brunching.
We can't be brunching.
You can't be brunching.
Nobody could go be going brunching.
No, unless you want that COVID to take a brunch on your lungs. Brunch, you know what I mean?
Crazy.
COVID's toasting champagne in people's fucking respiratory systems here.
COVID's crushing this California life.
It is.
I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
It is taken over. You remember when we first started this umpteen times ago? What was it, like 38 weeks ago?
Yeah.
When this started? It was like, oh, maybe by the time the summer heat comes, it'll be like the flu where the summer heat takes it away. Baby.
We had a bunch of fantasies.
Not this time, baby. Not even close.
No. So we're in it now. We're still going to bring you health and positivity. We're still going to bring some, some light activism, as much as what we can do to the show. And if anytime folks want to come on here and talk about that, I think that's always great. And I'm with you, Eugene. It's just got to stick around. I mean, that's, there's not a returning to normal. There's just where we are now.
Yeah. It's the new normal, as people are saying it, or like, which is also going to be a better place where people are more aware of everything going on. And, and it's the long haul. It's, it's, people are talking about it. It's funny. It's like, I don't know how funny it is, but people are talking about how, being anti-racist and being focused on equality and, and Black Lives Matter and all of it as, a marathon. And people are bringing it up as like working out and eating right terms, which is true. It's like, it's not about what, and people do it like a crash diet. People have been very much the crash diet mentality, even for that, where they're going really hard for that first month.
Right.
with everything that, like when the beginning of all of the protests were going on, it was like everybody went keto. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody is, stopped buying this and started buying that, and was focused on keto and this, and bread sales were down
Yeah.
across the world.
They were talking about it all the time. Keto this, keto that. They
Yes,
did it at
yeah,
their nephew's birthday party. They
right.
brought their own food to their nephew's birthday party.
Yes, all of that, all
All
of
that.
that,
Yeah.
all of that. No sugar. It was just like Whole30. It was like all of this. It was
Yeah.
like
It became the new identity.
it did.
Yeah.
Are you are you in favor of everybody being equal? Yes, it's like
Yeah.
the same. And that's what that was for a while. And then now,
It's like, oh,
it's funny
eh.
because it's like July 4th happened. It's almost in the same thing where then like people are not dieting. You're seeing everybody eating hot dogs
Yeah.
in the same way of people posted their black squares, and then you're seeing that they're holding Trump flags or whatever
I
at the
know.
barbecues they're at, or, or out on the beach with no mask. And it's just like,
Or just no longer involved in the cause anymore. Just
yeah,
kind of back to whatever their,
sure. Yeah.
whatever their fucking normal life, quote
Or,
unquote,
like
normal life
supporting small businesses that are black owned, and then complaining that like, they can't handle the amount of inventory that they're getting. And it's like, what did you expect? I mean, it's like the people getting mad at at the fitness industry, well, for two reasons, but one, running out of product.
Yeah.
They're not being dumbbells out there for you to buy anymore, and they have to produce more. Two, also some of those companies just like raising the prices and,
Yeah.
killing
Gouging.
people on it, gouging.
Well, so I guess that can kind of bleed into a little bit. So we're going to talk a lot about nutrition today.
Yes.
I'm going to show Eugene some grain-free chips that I've been liking right now. Show you guys too, obviously. And then, and then we'll answer any questions you might have on nutrition. But before we do that, I think, so it's come up a few times on the show, like what do gyms look like right now?
Oh,
and
yeah.
what's going on in the gym space. We asked the Bell Babies if there's anybody out there that has some experience. And some people actually wrote in, and I thought it was pretty interesting. I think they just changed the rules in California to where you have to wear a mask and a mask and gloves in the gym at all times now, right?
Right.
So initially it was you had to wear a mask like in the common spaces, checking in and all that kind of stuff. And then when you were in the workout area, you could take the mask off. And then now
was that the rule before? And then areas were kind of squared off if you're in like a small group training, situation.
They had roped off or they had removed equipment, and so they were like keeping it limited. And then in the gym, I don't know about the other gyms, but in Equinox, I haven't been since all this started, but they sent out a note, like a letter to all of us, that you had to make an appointment to come in to work out. So I think that was the way they were limiting the numbers. So it was like you get like a 2-hour block, and they would only let 50 people or whatever it was in at that time. I don't know the exact numbers of it, so I don't know if all the gyms were doing that. And then now with the numbers going back up in California, I mean, I'm assuming the gyms are going to close back down, but for right now, they're mandating masks and gloves. And so we had, let me pull it up here. Okay. So let's see here. Recently started getting back. No, not this one.
Nice.
Okay. Sorry, I got it. Allie. Okay, this is coming to us from Allie. Okay, hey Dumbbells. Just listened to your recent pod, and I heard you wanted to see how our gyms were adapting to reopening. I love Orange Theory, and I think they've made it as safe as can be. Here's a video of what they're doing when they arrive. So you social distance line outside and no mingling in the studio. You do the whole check-in process, and then then you're allowed to enter the actual workout studio. They're having people at every other station, so everyone is 6+ feet apart.
Okay.
Tread, rowers, and on the floor. At Orange Theory Fitness, they're doing workouts where you switch to each station once a class. In between switches, we get a new wipe to wipe everything down. During the switch process, the floor people will walk around the studio by the lockers and walk back to go into the tread, while the tread and rowers then wait to switch. No fans are being turned on, and any weights used are used only once. once a person uses them, instead of re-racking their sets to the side, uh, instead of re-racking their set to the side, instead of re-racking, they're set to the side until the next class.
Oh, got it.
After each class, the studio is doing a deep clean of the whole studio, I think for around 30 minutes. I think they've made workouts as safe as they can be at this point, and at least it has made me comfortable enough to attend. I don't think I've heard of anyone on the pod go to Orange Theory Fitness yet, unless I missed it. No, we haven't had anybody do Orange Theory. I think you and I maybe talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, and I did it when I was in Atlanta for a second, but I was only out there for less than a week, so I only got to try it out.
Try it out. She loves it. She'd love to hear our thoughts. It's the first place I've truly loved working out, and I feel as though I have the lowest motivation ever to work out, and
Wow.
she gets easily frustrated. So she loves the place, and she wanted to share. She feels like they're doing a good job.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I mean, as far as that, as them focusing overly on cleanliness and sanitizing everything, that sounds pretty much as good as you can get.
Yes, I should say they're also testing temperature too at the door. So you have to hand sanitize, and then they test your temperature before they let you in too.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of things. Yeah, and I felt like it was always so. Orange Theory, as far as a workout is concerned, I think is pretty great.
What can you explain what is it?
So it's so I went to the one in Midtown in Atlanta, and shout out to that gym because they were really great. And I was only out there for maybe a week before I had to fly back. So I only did maybe 2 sessions, 2 classes.
Okay.
And there's like a warm up. There's rowers, weights, or a treadmill. Like those are the 3 stations.
Okay.
And it starts with you start at one of those stations, and the workout changes every day, and it's roughly about an hour, and it's either 2 of the stations or all 3 of the stations, depending on which of the classes you signed up for. But it's usually a strength element to it and a cardio element to it, and it's about half and half. So
Okay.
you'll do a 5 or 10 minute warm up, and then you'll either do the treadmill for 20 minutes and then weights for 20 minutes, or weights and then the first and then the treadmill, or have the rower in there as well and do like 15, 15, 15. But the workouts are like high intensity interval training style treadmill runs. So you're doing sprints, and you're getting into like your red zone or your orange zone, which is like you're breaking a sweat.
Yeah.
And then your base pace, you're in for like maybe 2 minutes. So you're doing your base pace, and then you sprint for 30 seconds, and then you go into like a push pace for 30 seconds, and then back to your base. And it's kind of like that, where it's just like run, jog, sprint, jog, run, jog type thing, so that you're just, constantly moving and, getting, their splat points, which is similar to like, those high cardio points for staying in that zone for keeping your heart rate up for that amount of time. And then, what the focus is to make sure that your fitness level gets to the point where when you are in your base pace, that you're able to slow down your heart rate enough to then really push it to the limits once you get to your, when you really go for that push pace and you're really going for that, all out pace.
Okay.
So it's great. It's really great when it comes to that. And then the weight side of it is like light dumbbells for the most part, maybe up to 35s or 25s, but it's like, and it's all like a Metcon style thing, where it's just like you're doing these 3 movements. You're doing like, curls into push-ups into, upright rows or something like that, like kind of, and you go through this circuit, as many times as possible within 10 minutes. And then
Fun.
you do another one. So it's good. And then it's a mix of TRX and dumbbells.
TRX and dumbbells.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it feels like the best kind of metcons that were happening in like a CrossFit gym without having to throw a barbell around.
Okay. So you lose the Olympic movements.
You lose them in the sense of using a barbell, but you're still doing like a clean with 2 dumbbells, which
you're doing dumbbell cleans.
If you're doing that, in some workouts, in one of the workouts we did like dumbbell cleans and thrusters. So I was like, okay. And when the instructor came around, they were like, oh, you have like that kind of CrossFit mentality, like the way that I was going through the movement. She was like, oh, did CrossFit before this. Cause it was like, kind of like I would slow down my pace with a certain thing and then like bang out the thing that I know I could do really quickly. So then I can slowly so I was kind of doing like a hit workout within even the weight.
Right.
Part of it.
Sandbagging a little bit to make sure you could recover the right way.
Recover the right way. So I'd like, or so that I could really speed through some burpees so then I can go heavier on like the curls and go slower so that I can do more rounds or whatever. But I was already kind of gaming the system in that way, which was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great. And so what I was going to say is, so I was there the week before flying back. So this is Tom Hanks week, the week that we found out Tom Hanks,
dude.
Then. So it was like everybody started talking about it. The lockdown hasn't officially started. And, by that Friday I had to fly. They flew me back home. Right. So prior to that, I'd only been there. And this Orange Theory, when I was shooting that Clint Eastwood movie the year prior, was right around the corner. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just join that this year because it seems like this fun thing and I'll be around for a month. And, I can like, it gives me some kind of like class, focus for the month. So that's why I signed up for that. And then I didn't even I just got to do my trial workouts. But I was already in that full on classes. And the first class, I was doing that stuff and I was like, oh, I'm into this.
Yeah.
I took I maybe had to do like some kind of fitting or something the next day. I couldn't go. The next day was Thursday before they flew me back. At that point, they had really focused in on cleaning things already. Now, they hadn't closed down, but they were like, they already did the every other, if they let as many people sign up as possible, but if there was an ability to skip like a treadmill in between, you would, or if there was a certain amount of people in the class, then some people were just assigned to certain rowers already, and some people were assigned to certain treadmills. And you were wiping down everything after every use. Yeah. And there was that happening before that. Like it felt like a very clean, gym anyway.
It seems like these kind of more corporate gyms that have a lot of structure or infrastructure in place and resources already had a pretty good cleaning practice going into this.
Yes.
And they seem to be able to implement things more easily than some of these kind of mom and pop places that just leave it up to their.
I mean, the worry that I have, and I don't know if this is the worry that you have, Stanger, but about going back is, I mean, there's this constant thing where there is some new studies or blah blah blah, of it being airborne, this, that, the other thing. But the thing that worries me the most is what has been consistently scary that people debate it for a number of reasons about being outside. Like, should you be wearing a mask if you're walking or taking a run outside or doing any sports outside? And some people say no, some people say yes, because it doesn't stay in the air as long, but you're also outside, right? And if you can, and you have plenty of room, hopefully, to avoid people. Like if you're running and even somebody is running towards you, if both of you just ran a little bit more to the right, you would be 10 feet apart in a second.
Yeah.
You'd be 20 feet apart in 2 seconds if there's that much space, and you have the ability of that possibly happening. In any kind of gym, the fact that you're indoors, like, and the fact, and not trying to downplay what Orange Theory is doing, but the idea of no fans in there, meaning that it's not blowing the air around, which just means that you're just kind of sitting in there even more, feels just as I could see how it's supposed to be less dangerous because
you're not blowing, like you
you're not
breathing hard isn't being blown over to where I'm breathing
right,
hard.
right. But
Yeah,
people are still breathing hard in a small space.
yeah, no, unfortunately, this thing, like we talked about before, has become so politicized that you get all kinds of conflicting information, and people will cite one scientist versus another scientist versus another scientist to like prove and counterprove and disprove. And so, it comes down to like all this viral load talk and how much viral load is in an infected person when they exhale versus when they cough versus how long versus how much of it you have to breathe in. And it just seems to me like if you're pounding breath out and you're in an area that with no circulated air, I don't know, it just seems like you're putting yourself at risk of inhaling that stuff for a half hour or an hour, and that's all it takes.
I mean, I'm by myself in this room that I'm in, which is my office / our like mud room, laundry room thing. And when our garage was getting worked on, I was working out in here. Now there's enough it's like a size of maybe a bed, or like a small bedroom. So you could fit like a twin size bed in here, or maybe even a full size bed. And then like, and this desk and all of this stuff, and still have plenty of room. With that, when I was working out in here and doing any kind of HIIT training in here, it was muggy as shit.
Yeah, you changed the ecosystem of the room.
Yeah, it was gross. Like, and for a while, I would open the door. It was gross.
It was an estuary.
Yeah.
You had like certain kind of wildlife, ducks.
Sure. Yeah, there was so many ducks in here.
Yeah.
By the end of that hour, there were so many ducks, so much moss, a weird amount of moss in here. Yeah. But that's
tree frogs.
It changed, and I was just like, I could not imagine that happening in a gym right now. If this whole space has been taken up by my mess.
Yeah.
You put 3 more people in something that's 3 times the size, which is probably the size of a gym. I don't know.
I don't know how much they've studied it either. I know that they're interested in churches because there's been a lot of like super spreading at churches. And so that's like a huge collection of people, 100 plus, all singing at the same time. So that is a lot of like virus going out there and people breathing it in and all that stuff.
And it's also everybody talking at exactly the same time.
Yeah.
Singing, talking at the same time, responding at the same time. Everybody is speaking to the back of each other's heads, or whatever, and facing one way. But I think also the other thing with churches, and I know gyms are up there, and I get that gyms are up there, but people go to the church because they're sick so that they can pray.
Oh, yeah.
So people don't, unless
people don't go to the gym when they're not feeling well.
Right. You just don't do it. You don't try to work it out. And especially right now, I would hope that if you were like feeling anything in your lungs, that you wouldn't be like, oh, let me just sprint this out on a treadmill.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Or something like that. Or like, you would hope that if you're showing any kind of symptoms of anything, a cold or flu, anything, that you would probably try to avoid the gym so that you wouldn't, infect anybody else. But who knows?
It's a good bro science point. And also I'm just trying to think of, I haven't read anything about a major outbreak coming from a gym, which is kind of interesting.
Right.
But that's, they also, who knows?
I think they also had closed down pretty quickly.
Yeah. But they
afterwards.
were able, when they did the contract tracing in Oregon, it was like or Washington, it was the church. But I don't know how well, we're not doing contact tracing very well in the States yet anyway. So it's tough to, I mean, maybe it has happened and we just haven't picked
maybe
up.
I mean, who knows? I mean,
either way, I don't feel good. I don't feel good going yet.
I know.
I haven't gotten, especially now.
Well, what are your, we'll get into nutrition because that's, because somebody even already asked about it over here, but since we were just talking about the gyms and them opening up and feeling like they're probably going to close up again. Yeah. But I have seen people working out in spaces where they do have the box, and it seems pretty safe, and it's not that many people in these classes. And you know, I feel like, to be honest, if people are feeling healthy, then they and uh are focused on their nutrition and focused on that, and maybe have already even gotten tested,
Yeah.
that they're going to these gyms focused on, on their health and that. And I'd feel pretty comfortable with a small gym that I knew a bunch of people in, I think. I don't know. How do you feel about school?
Well, tough to know. I mean, uh, I mean, he just having like a kid that's like an active kid that's going to be in fourth grade.
Yeah.
I mean, he really needs school,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I know LA is looking into doing some distance stuff within the school
Mm-hmm.
and implementing some tests, and I don't know, like a way that they can kind of screen students by how you fill out like a daily thing, like have you or anybody in your house been infected, and then they do like a temperature check before they go in.
Yeah.
Now they do stuff like that. I realize it's not perfect. There's still going to be some kids that slip through the cracks in there, but I would imagine that would slow it down a lot. You
Sure.
know,
Sure.
I mean, let's say it improves it by half. I mean, that's something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely don't want school to make these numbers go way up, but at the same time, I couldn't imagine having him stuck at home for like another 6 months or something,
Yeah.
or like a
Yeah.
year. Like, I mean, I don't know. He's starting to get, and he's, my guy's like really agreeable and like a happy kid and a go with the flow kind of dude. And he's even getting a little fucking stir crazy.
Sure.
Yeah. And beyond stir crazy, like bummed out a little bit.
Yes. Of course. Yeah.
So
You gotta keep that energy up.
yeah. So, that being said, I mean, you have to do what you got to do as a society. I mean, we're all in this together. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the alternative is. I mean, if things don't improve, just like going back, I don't know, but it is interesting too, because you do see some scientists and WHO and CDC people saying that like school opening schools can work, and in some instances is better somehow.
Right.
You know,
Um,
what do you think?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just it's still kind of on the fence. I like, we'll get updates from the preschool and stuff saying like this is the things that they're taking, and part of that is like, trying to convince a bunch of preschool kids to keep masks on, I think is going to be
Yeah.
bananas.
Yeah.
Um and who knows? Maybe by the time September hits, there's more information. But that's what we were saying 3 months ago. That when July hits or whatever, that there'd be more information.
We'll know everything and it'll slow down.
Yeah,
it's just
but
like we know less and it's sped up.
Yes, so I guess we can only just see what happens, and and focus on the positive that both of our little dudes are trying their best, but are obviously going pretty crazy. And it's funny, like we'd still try to go to like some kind of park situation and go for a walk or walk around, or go to like the some kind of garden and outdoor space.
The scanzo.
And yeah, and you'll see other kids and you can just see him pull his mask up, and it's like almost sad,
Yeah.
or he'll stand far away, and then we just make sure that we're saying hi,
Yeah.
just from a distance, which it just at least gives them some kind of interaction. But have you guys extended your like bubble of people, or
Yeah.
no?
We
You
have. Yeah. We
Yeah.
have. So he's had a few friends too that the parents are pretty much the same as us. So it's been like, all right, we're letting the kids get together. We do outside though. So they come and play in the backyard, and then him over in the backyard type thing too.
Yeah, but no, but you guys haven't like gotten tested or anything.
Have not gotten tested yet. No.
Yeah. Just kind of opened up your,
Yeah.
yeah.
Opened it up a little bit to people that were quarantining in a similar way and also
Sure.
working from home. So
Got it.
I feel like, I mean, if they're not lying to us, our it hasn't opened up our contact circle too much,
Right.
but I mean, it is, I don't know. We haven't done like a indoor play date yet. They've been
Sure.
outside and the parents haven't been hanging. It's been the kids, but if he gets it, we're going to get it. So
Sure.
yeah.
Somebody did say
We got some
on
questions.
our YouTube. Well, this is still just kind of about gyms. Planet Fitness in Pennsylvania is doing the bare minimum. I emailed them to suggest that they should start checking temps at the door, and they told me that they're not going to do it unless the state mandates it. So that's not cool.
It's crazy.
Michael is saying,
to me, it's not perfect, but man, it really seems like you could take a drastic, amount of people that could be infected out of the mix just by doing that.
Yeah. Philly pushed gym reopenings to August now. Andrew is saying on our YouTube also. And the place he goes had some ideas, but who knows at the moment.
Pushed to August.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, people are doing it, but like the fact that
what would Rocky do?
I mean, he would do his normal workouts because he can.
But he wouldn't. That. But he used to spar at Mighty Mix. He wouldn't be able to go there.
He can't.
Hey Mick, you mean to tell me the gym's closed till August? I gotta fight Apollo.
Now, well, Dolph Lundgren couldn't do his either because there'd be all those scientists would have to have masks on.
Yeah,
but he probably got tested every morning.
Yeah, I mean, he's got running tests all the time. He's taking steroids, he's getting tested. I mean, they're breaking the rules.
They're breaking all the rules. The fact that I know we just mentioned that like these big global gyms are probably better about it because they have these standards, but it's funny that even like a Planet Fitness or things like this are not taking it because those are the ones that are kind of franchised and individually owned, right?
I think so. Yeah, maybe there's no kind of top-down mandate or something, but I don't know. That is disheartening to hear that. It's just you like people going above and beyond.
Yeah, and the fact that they're not or whatever. I mean, and I don't know. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to still even look at like, some of my family members and stuff. I'll see them out and about on like a July 4th weekend and I'm like, what are you doing? You know,
people just straight up, it's done, man. I'm back, going back to normal.
Yeah. Red Ramos.
Okay, so we're going to shift into some nutrition questions.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any nutrition questions, let them fly. We'll answer to the best of our abilities. Should we answer this Red Ramos one, or should we talk about what we're doing first to maybe give some people some time to write in, or what do you think?
I mean, we can answer this first one. Also, Andrew, who mentioned the Philly gym's reopening, also said that the art museum stairs might be getting too crowded. To
maintain your distance, all right?
I went there. I did that as a little just kind of shuffle up those stairs with Quincy, and it did take a little while.
Yeah,
it's quite a bit of stairs.
Hard. I would absolutely run to the top of those stairs if I was there for sure. Yeah. And I would go to see the statue. It's not there anymore. It's like at a park somewhere, right?
Yeah. Close.
He gave it to the city of Philadelphia, and they're kind of like, who cares?
Where do you want us to put this?
Yeah.
But Red did ask, have we tried slow carb diet?
Slow carb diet. So did Tim Ferriss kind of start this, or he made it popular?
Yeah,
he did it like in the 4-Hour Body. That was like the thing that he did.
I believe so. Yeah, I think
from what I remember correctly about it, it's you eat multiple times throughout the day, 4 times a day, something like that. It's 6 days a week. I think he had one cheat day, like an overfeed day. There was a cheat day thing, and then it's all low glycemic carbs, so like legumes, potatoes, sweet potatoes, that kind of thing, if you are having carbs.
Right. So it's avoiding white carbs.
Right.
So like breads, pastas, cereals, baked goods, that kind of stuff for 6 days a week. And then you eat the same meals over and over. That's basically proteins, vegetables, legumes, fats, and spices, and then you don't. And then it's just almost like everything else, where you're just drinking water and not drinking any kind of sugar. You're not taking in any other calories from drinks.
Right. No
Um,
fruit.
no fruit. Yeah, no fruit, and then you have the one day off a week.
Oh, so there is
Um,
a cheat day. I'm trying to see if I looked up this thing on it real quick
yeah,
here.
yeah, and it is Tim Ferriss.
Tim Fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I mean, listen, it's you're avoiding um white carbohydrates, which is the bread and the pastas and stuff. Like, that's something that you should be focused on.
Kind of
You
good to
know,
do right now in this climate anyway, right?
yeah, limiting anything. Hey, now's the time, right?
Enough with the whites. They're unhealthy for
You're
everybody,
unhealthy.
really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, so I guess the theory behind it being the lower glycemic carbs, they take a longer time to get processed. They're more complex carbohydrates. So
Mhm.
you're more likely to use them for energy than you are to store them for fat. Slows down that whole digestive process. So, I mean, I think to some degree, like, paleo, uh, keto, not exactly, but kind of avoiding simple carbs in general.
Yes.
The thought principles behind it are all very similar. I mean, I do some version of that. I'm not exactly adhering to slow because I don't even eat beans or legumes or anything really
Right.
anyway. But I think there's some merit to it,
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I personally have kind
I've
of
never tried it.
opened up to more of a looser paleo template or whatever, but ultimately it it is similar to that. And I think a lot of it is similar to that, where you're just kind of eliminating certain things from your diet, or just focused on not doing it as much, and then allowing yourself one day a week. And that ultimately will just get you in the right focus to have things that you like every once in a while and not stress out about it.
Yeah, it's an entire cheat day. I mean, I think, look, if that's going to help you, we don't like the vernacular cheat
Right.
because it's implying that you're not supposed to be doing that, and it
Right.
attaches like a value to food and all that stuff, and that can be a slippery slope. You get into taboos and all this kind of weird psychology. So I think it's good just to a treat day, or a day where you're off the template, whatever. But cheat is always weird, I think, to
Right.
say. And for me personally, a full fucking day is just a lot, man. I can do a lot of damage to myself in a day,
Yeah.
and it doesn't seem sustainable to me. That being said, I have done it in the past, and it did help me start to move towards a direction of eating this way more permanently.
You mean
So if
you've done it in the past, where you've had a whole day where you
a
don't
whole
worry
day,
about it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it did help me get closer to where I am now. Ultimately, it was all part of the journey. So I don't know, man. If it takes doing a full day to where you'll stay on the path 6 days a week initially, I'd say give it a shot. See how it works for your body,
Yeah.
and if you're getting good results from it, then roll with it. But I would be open to looking to kind of eliminate that and doing a more more open system when you're eating more liberally, to where it's like you feel like having that meal, you have it, you move on,
Right.
versus saving it all for one day and doing like appointment garbage eating, to where it's like you're trying to fit as much junk as you can into one day.
Sure. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's also a tough thing, where then your cheat day, or that one day a week, becomes so stressful, because you're like, what can I do this day so that I can get everything that I want in one day? And it just, you're not only going to feel like garbage if you focus on it for that whole day, but you probably will for Monday and Tuesday. Like, let's say that day is on Sundays, the next couple of days is you recovering from that day off,
Yeah, you feel like a
where
fucking hangover, and then also
yeah.
you're mentally bummed too, because it's like the cheat day's over and now it's back to the fucking grind.
Right, right. So, or you get stressed out in the sense of, oh, did this all on my cheat day, and then everybody's going out to dinner on a Wednesday, when everybody can go out to dinner again, or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can't be there for part of that, or you feel like you're not doing it correctly. If you just kind of have these meals when you can have the meals, it's better mentally for you, and you're able to like really focus in on just eating better. And I think that's what any of this is. Ultimately, it's, your calories in versus calories out, and you're making sure that the calories in that you're taking, or the calories that you are taking in, are nutritious and helping you get to your goals, your fitness goals, and also, um, you know, maintaining a good, you know, like you feel good physically.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, all that being said, taking in something like that, whether it be paleo, whether it be keto, there is some comfort and value in the structure of it too. You learn some stuff about yourself. And
Yeah,
from what I can kind of gather about Tim Ferriss's slow carb diet, he has some supplementation recommendations, some micronutrients, and I don't know. I mean, it's worth, if you're really into it, you like the philosophy of it, you tolerate those foods well,
absolutely.
give it a try, and
Yeah,
you'll learn something about yourself. But don't look at it as like this is going to be me forever. Think that you have to be that dogmatic or dogged. I don't know,
dogged,
dogged,
dog-eared,
dog-eared, or
isn't it?
doggone.
Um,
Um, but yeah, be open to kind of, and if there's elements that you like from it, then take and fucking add to it and adjust and try a lot of different things. I think is always the best mentality. But
yeah.
there's nothing in there that freaked me out too much from what I could see
Mm-mm.
where I'm like, ooh, that's like a
Uh-uh.
danger zone.
Another question here is from Yana on YouTube, saying he's a truck driver in Australia,
Whoa,
and he
cool.
works from 5 a.m. to around 6 p.m. Do you have any recommendations for foods to eat during the day on the go? Ooh, I mean, sitting in the cab of a truck for
Yeah.
that long every day. Um, I mean, whatever can satisfy you and hold you off for the longest, and eat on the go. I mean, I don't know. Like,
Well, that's so yeah, nah, if you're still on here, do you have issues with doing meal prep? Is it something that you've tried to do before? Like, is because totally fine if it is. If taking a cooler in this truck is a bridge too far and that's something you kind of want to avoid, I totally get that. That might be too much to fucking have to pack a cooler for yourself every day. So if that's a no-go, as far as like drier, healthy goods that will last in the car, I mean, there's nuts you can do. You could chop up some vegetables,
sure,
carrots, celery,
carrots,
that kind
celery,
of
yeah,
thing. That's going to keep pretty well. I mean, by the end of the day, it's probably going to be done. But I mean, at least for the majority of the day, if you're running the AC in there, you're going to be okay with that kind of carrots and celery, and that's something fun that you can crunch a little bit.
yeah,
Um, and then, as far as like if you're not packing a lunch, you could look into doing shakes, some high quality meal replacement protein shakes. You could do bars. There's different kinds of bars. You could do RX bars we talk about.
yeah.
Um, you could do, the Think Thin bars. A lot of different kinds of bars that you could do.
But I mean, if you're
Uh,
focused on, overall nutrition, and you're just like, you want to make sure that you have, food on the go, like vegetables, fruits and vegetables to just like crunch on, like crunching on an apple if you can is, never gonna hurt you, you know?
so he or she talk, I mean, I don't know, I mean, he or she, you did a movie about like women truck drivers, right, Eugene?
Yeah,
So
you're right. You're right.
I don't want to attach gender to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he said the hardest thing is being able to reheat meals. Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
So if I can eat chicken cold, some people can't. So if you don't want to do chicken cold, I mean, you can look into like different kinds of beef jerkies and
Sure.
jerkies. There's like jerky has really come into its own now. It used to be pretty bad, but you can get some really good jerky not that's not filled with a bunch of fucking garbage.
Right. And isn't
Um
all based in brown sugar. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. So you can like look into those different jerkies and then find some and order it, get it shipped out to your house, and then have that be your kind of, protein slash snack in the car. if you're not looking to reheat things, and then if you're not open to doing cold chicken.
Yeah.
He goes by he, him. Okay, good. All right, so we're okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, looking into those different kind of jerkies, I feel like this is not inspiring. We're like, hey man, crunch on some fucking carrots and have some jerky. What's the problem?
I mean, what a tough, I salute him on his work, like that's something to, not being able to reheat things and focusing on kind of like snacking food as food. I would try to just, do my best of like getting some of that crunch with some raw veggies and stuff.
Yeah. So our advice to you, raw veggies, they
Yeah.
will keep. Nuts, all different kinds of nuts. Treat yourself. Go crazy with it. Pecans, almonds, cashews. Mix roasted, unroasted, go
Yeah.
salted. Who gives a shit? Look into the different kinds of jerkies that you can do. Think about cold chicken as a possibility.
Sure.
And if cooling it or maintaining that temperature cold is challenging, you could always pack that stuff as the first meal of the day, so at least you get one good thing in there that's that's fresher and well kept.
Yeah.
And by the end of the day, you're switching to the more dry goods that are shelf stable, and then experiment with all the different kinds of bars to do too. With those protein bars, the things you want to steer clear of are ingredients that you don't know what they are. So a lot of weird chemicals, names you can't pronounce. Too many ingredients is a bad sign. And then also pay attention to the sugar content on those bars too, because that sugar can kind of run away with you a little bit. Also, if you feel like your protein is a little bit light, you can look into like a protein supplement to have on the road too. And that's something you can just keep the powder in a bag, mix it with water, and that's something that'll keep also.
Yes.
And then, that portable fruit, man, self-contained, an apple, that kind of thing, that's going to keep
Sure.
too. Yeah.
Apple and orange, a banana. I can name more fruits.
That's pretty good. Apple, orange, banana. Good.
Cool. Michael is asking or said that I started intermittent fasting IF. My main goal is to lose belly and love handles. I just have no idea how many calories to house in the window. Should it be mostly protein? I'm trying to keep building muscle. Okay. And does Skoal break the fast?
So
That's
chewing tobacco.
chewing tobacco. Yeah. No, I don't think it breaks the fast, but I don't think it'll necessarily help you.
I mean, are
any
you
way.
getting calories in there from it?
Do you? No, you
Let
just
me
chew
look it
it,
up.
right?
I think you get calories from it.
From chewing tobacco?
You might get some.
So I would try to find out what your caloric intake should be, like either from MyFitnessPal or something along those lines, where you can gauge your caloric intake. That shouldn't change when you're intermittent fasting, meaning you should have a pretty good idea of what you should be taking in every day, even if you're let's do the rough estimate that you're maybe around 22 to 2500 calories a day. I would focus on making sure that a good number of your food is still mostly protein. So you focus on how much you weigh now and try your hardest to like have your protein equal the amount of in grams that you weigh. So if you weigh 180 pounds, that you're trying to get 180 grams of protein in a day. That seems like a lot, but it's also if you're focused on building muscle, that should be a pretty good mentality. 1:1 or 1 to like 0.8 roughly. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, that's the trick with the IF. So it is, it is your recommended daily allotment of calories. It's just in a restricted window.
Right.
So however you want to do that. And now, I think the reason people get some weight loss from it outside of what it does for you from a blood sugar standpoint and a hormone standpoint, which are all healthy and positive, I think you do end up eating less on it.
You do. Yeah.
So that, that's something to factor in too. So you know, I would say if you're really dead set on keeping that muscle and making some gains while you're on it, you just make sure that you are getting your necessary calories. So whatever
Right.
you would in a normal day. And then like Eugene said, pay special attention to the protein. I looked up Skull. It said there's no calories in chewing tobacco. And even if you do swallow some of the spit, it's a negligible amount. That being said, I do have caffeine when I'm fasting, and some freaks will say that you shouldn't even have caffeine. Like anything that adjusts your metabolism at all, sped up or slowed down, will technically break the fast. But
Yeah,
I have caffeine and it works fine for me. I don't
I
feel
do
like
too.
I'm
Yeah,
losing benefit. So I think nicotine would probably operate under the same principles too. So
sure.
I mean, I don't love you having that chewing tobacco, dude.
Hey, but you know,
You got a spittoon?
you should.
Uh,
Let's if you have a
have you ever
spittoon.
spit? Have you ever spit in a spittoon?
I've
Huge.
never. I think I remember in high school trying chewing tobacco, and I just didn't get what was happening.
Did you get buzzed from it?
I don't know. I
Sick?
just remember it being. Yeah, I remember it being gross.
And you were a smoker. You never thought about switching to chewing it?
No.
You,
But even like the first time I smoked cigarettes, it was gross, and you didn't. You were just like, "What is this? Why am I doing this?"
you,
And then theater happened,
yeah, and you had to hang out.
and you had to hang out.
You did it to look cool and hang out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had a black
Turtleneck.
turtleneck on and everything. Yeah,
Okay.
not turtleneck. I had a black shirt on.
Okay.
Let's be honest. I wasn't gonna rock a turtleneck unless I was the Rock in that one picture
With the fanny
with
pack
with the fanny pack and the chain on the outside.
yeah.
Um.
Normcore.
Yeah. Kurt said I picked up 100% whey from Costco. How'd you get into Costco? Because my fitness pal told me I wasn't getting enough protein. It also tells me I don't get enough fiber or potassium. Thoughts, advice, opinions. Um, I think unless you adjust those my fitness pal percentages yourself, I think it gives you just kind of like a base amount for all of those potassium and fiber and all that stuff. So I would look into it um, and change the percentages based on your focus. Getting some whey protein, I think, from Costco or whatever, so you get more protein in your diet, I think is good if you're not taking it enough. Just make sure that your total amount of calories is then gauged from that. So if you're raising your protein amounts, that you're lowering your carbohydrates amounts so that you're still getting an even amount of calories every day. That's the focus that my fitness pal is really trying to get, is for your percentages to be correct for you. And that will also obviously change if you're like, if you're staying away from complex carbohydrates, for instance. So like, let's say you're, for all sense of it, going to like 40-40-20. So like 40% carbohydrates, 40% protein, 20% fat in your breakdown of your daily amounts of calories. If you switch that at all, it's going to make your like if you're trying to get your protein up and then your calories down, it's going to say that you need less fiber in the day, which is untrue. You should still have the same amount of fiber in the day. You just have to get it somewhere else. Right. So it's just very, like that's the problem with some of the online or like, these apps, is that, you should find what the best and the best performing for you amount of fiber and potassium and all of that is. I don't know what the FDA or any of that would say is, or what a doctor would even tell you how much fiber or potassium you should have in a day.
Case by case. I mean,
it is, right?
I think it's based on activity and digestion and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, without knowing that, Kurt, not being able to look at your insides, tough to say. I mean, I think probably most people don't get enough fiber. I think that's kind of safe to say.
Yes.
And it's hard to add fiber to your diet unless you're supplementing with like a Metamucil or like a psyllium husk or something like that. But if you can add more dietary fiber by way of food, I say go for it.
Yeah.
Couldn't hoit, as they say. Couldn't hoit.
I think a couple of people say it like that. Yeah.
Hoit. couldn't Hoyt.
Couldn't
Uh,
Hoyt.
Hoyt volleyball, right? Is that the brand?
Hoyt
Hoyt.
volleyball. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, is it?
It's Voight.
Oh,
But also don't forget
I'm
to
thinking of John Hoyt.
all right.
That's probably why.
Also, don't forget to Voight this year.
Got it.
If you want to change things, you got to do that in the polls. But so I think that adding dietary fiber is always good to do. And that's up in your vegetable, those kind of raw vegetables, all that kind of stuff. Nuts have good fiber. So why not? And then as far as potassium, you could look into taking like a multivitamin that has some good micronutrients that you might be missing. Why not?
Yeah.
None of those things sound like a bad thing to increase. But I'm with you. Eugene is like this, my fitness, they're just looking at like arbitrary stuff that you're giving them and kind of guessing on it. It's not really like mainline in your blood or, testing your doing a full blood panel.
Right.
There's stuff you can do, like tests that you can do, like where you get like blood work done, so you can see if you are deficient in any micronutrients. Most people are deficient in vitamin D. And then,
yeah. I think that kind of focus and that kind of goal for yourself is probably the best way to like try to figure it out. And it is true. People are missing vitamin D. People are usually missing the amount of fiber that they need in every day. And, you can gauge that by your Deuceroos every day.
Deuceroos.
Is it consistent and is it every day at the same time? And, if that's changing because your diet is changing, then you might need to up that as well,
Yeah, Kurt, drop a little Deuceroo in the toiletto and take a good look at it. See where you're at,
Good for you.
If it's a good, healthy Deuceroo, then the fiber's probably okay.
Nice. Don't send us any of these pics, though, please. Thank you very much.
Also, please, as much of you use Deuceroo.
Irvin asked, "What's a good at-home chest workout without a bench?" Oh, that's besides push-ups. Let's answer at least one of these workout ones here.
Non-nutrition,
especially since we finish up here. What's a good chest workout besides push-ups?
Does Irvin have dumbbells?
I don't know,
or anything, because
you can just without a bench. Yeah,
you can do bench from the ground. I mean, floor bench. You're slamming your elbows into the ground, but you're still getting
floor
something.
Press. Yeah.
And you could even do it like if you have a foam roller. You can lay on top of that foam roller and it challenges your stability a little bit too, or a physio ball. And then you can do dumbbell presses with the physio ball.
Yeah.
You could also, if you have bands, put the bands, depending on how big your physio ball is, put the bands underneath your physio ball and then press upward and do like band flies from underneath the physio ball.
Mm-hmm. Banded push-ups.
Push-ups. Yeah. So that's where you're threading the band in your hands and then slapping it over your back, and then you're pressing up from a push-up position with resistance.
Yeah,
I've been doing a lot of those.
Sure. If you do have bands as well, you can have one of the bands connected to some kind of pole or something that doesn't obviously move, and do single arm flies that way too. Of like
single arm, double arm flies too.
Yeah.
Like if you have like a post or something in your backyard that you can, you're not going to snap the band back. You can do chest presses with the band and then single presses with it. And you was saying like single arm, so if the band's not heavy enough, then you can double the band up on one side and do single arm.
Sure.
Single arm presses too.
Great.
Do you want to see these chips, Eugene?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any quote unquote healthy snacks that have been a go-to for you lately?
No, not really. Not healthy ones. I've just been watching the amount of regular ones that I've been taking in, but I have been taking it in. But what chips are those?
Okay, so healthy in quotation marks, because these are like quote unquote grain-free. There's still carbs in there.
Yeah.
So Eugene and I were both into the Terra chip varietal of the green plantains.
Yes.
Yeah. So those are great. Those are like close to potato chips for me.
Mhm.
So they have these Terra chips, the green plantains. They taste like potato chips. I don't have any of those right now, but I get those all the time anyway. You can get them at Whole Foods or order online or whatever. So I started getting into these Sietes. Have you tried
Yes.
these
I
before?
love those. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The
So
nacho ones I like.
yeah, so they have different flavors. They've got nachos. Sea salt's really good too. So this is pretty close to a tortilla chip, and they kind of have a Tostitos vibe
Yeah.
because they're made from a cassava flour, which isn't quite as sturdy as corn or traditional kind of flour tortilla chip. So they break a little bit easier, but they're good for salsa. They definitely taste like chips and salsa. Like they've got a Mexican food kind of feel to them.
I
Siete
like it.
brand.
Yeah.
So I've been doing those, but the ones that I switched to recently are these cauliflower tortilla chips. And they're from this
Ooh.
brand called From the Ground Up. They're grain free. The ingredients, they also have cassava as the base, but they also have cauliflower in there, chia seeds, and then a vegetable blend that includes spinach, broccoli, carrot, tomato, beet, and shiitake mushroom.
Where'd you get those from?
So this is the same thing. They have these at like Whole Foods. I think maybe even some Ralph's
Uh-huh.
or you could order them. And they're called From the Ground Up, and they're a little sturdier. The From the Ground Up cauliflower tortilla chips. They're a little sturdier than the Sietes, and they have a different texture, and the flavor is somehow really fucking good on them. I don't know.
What
what
does
it
it
is.
taste like?
It's
Does it taste like a tortilla chip, or does it
it
taste
tastes
like
like a tortilla chip, but maybe a little different. And
more
there
like a
is
pita chip?
no, not like a pita chip, closer to tortilla chip. There is a little bit of, how cauliflower kind of stinks?
Yes.
There's a little bit of that weird cauliflower stink when you first open the bag. Very, very minor. Not enough to put you off or make them not good, but they don't
Mhm.
taste anything like that at all.
You just have to get the stink out of the bag first.
You got to get that stink out of
You gotta air it out, air out the stink for a second.
But it's not enough that it stops you from wanting to eat the chips ever. It's always just
Right.
like, oh yeah, there's a little cauliflower note.
Yeah,
there.
let me get the stink out of the bag. Let
Let
it breathe. Let the chips breathe for a
Let
second.
the chips breathe. Put the chips in the decanter.
Yeah.
Get that stink out. Get them cauliflower notes out. But they're really fucking good, dude. I promise you they're good. I wonder what they are calorically, what the difference is between the Sietes. So we can look into that really quick. So a serving of Siete chips is 28 grams, and you're looking
Which
at
is how many chips?
15 chips.
Oh, okay.
You're looking at 130 calories, 19 grams of carbs, and 3 grams of dietary fiber. Okay, 6 grams of fat. So the cauliflower chips are a little bit more hearty. So for the same 28 grams, which is about 10 chips, but the chips are thicker.
Thick. Yeah.
So you get 10 chips in a serving, you get 140 calories and 7 grams of fat, 19 grams of carbohydrates, and 2 grams of dietary fiber. So I'd say nutritionally, the Sietes are probably a little better.
Yeah, maybe, but
negligible. And this
Right.
is a nice kind of change up between the two.
Right.
Yeah. So you get a little more fat and slightly more calories in the cauliflower chips, but definitely worth. I want to send you some, Eugene, because I think you'll dig them.
Yeah. I mean, if we ever see each other again, we can just
I could ship them to you if I can.
hand them to each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. No, I want to try them. I want to know if people else has anybody else out there have had those cauliflower chips. Definitely those Sietes have been. I get almost every time I go to the grocery store.
Yeah,
but that's when I'm just not eating regular Tostitos, limiting my amount.
Right.
Just because nutritionally wise, I am kind of in this extra, nesting mode. So I'm kind of just taking in what the family's taking in, especially now. But yeah.
I've been well fed the past couple of weeks, man. I had to scale back this weekend. I was like, man, I got to scale back a little bit because it didn't feel good. I felt like I was just eating too much. I felt full a lot and still kind of eating,
Sure.
And I was like, this is not me enjoying and being reasonable. This is me like feeding my brain somehow.
Oh yeah, and I feel like the moment that I start really locking into that kind of lifestyle is when like everything's going to open up again, and I'll be like, huh? You know,
The food falls out of your mouth.
it's just be like eating pizza after pizza
Yeah.
or whatever.
I'm used to pizza now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's it's definitely affecting eating, being more full has definitely affected my exercise and my, you know, my
Yeah.
daily activity. So the more that I'm just kind of like even just eating what is around and limiting my amount of like actual Tostitos and switching back to the Ciates or something has been something that like, you know, Trish and Quincy will open up a bag of chips and I'll have a couple and be like, what am I doing? And then at least, you know, getting my own and going like, no, I can't eat those.
I've come to the realization that like with the foods, like I'm a little bit of an alcoholic. I'm a little bit of I can kind of keep it going for a while. Like I'm like the guy that's like, hey man, I'm just switching to beer. No biggie, dude. I can have a couple of sips of beer. And then, you know, the next thing you know, I'm like, you know, everybody else is kind of normal and buzzed, and I'm like fucking wasted, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm a little bit, not all the way, but I'm a little bit like that with food, to where I kind of have to toe a little bit more strict a line than some people do.
Sure.
Because
Same.
Nancy and Stone can kind of like eat stuff, forget about it, move on,
Yeah.
have a little bit. It's not a big deal for them.
I think our relationship with food is just different. And also, you know, I think results wise, we're looking for the food to do a different thing for us. So I think that also affects it, you know. And yeah, right now I have been really focused more on doing some heavier stuff in the last week, and getting that soreness is nice. I've been getting
dude,
that
I'm
soreness
jealous.
back. And
Haven't
I'm
had
like,
that in a
oh
while.
man, like my triceps are tight right now. But I mean, and that was from even though like um uh even though I have more workout stuff available to me again, I have been just trying to really focus on slowing down like tempo and really going heavy, like a little lighter but still heavy,
Yeah.
and slowing down that tempo. And so like I was doing like you know, skull crushers that just was slow,
Yeah.
and then was much, and then doing banded push-ups with my feet up. So like I guess those are decline. I get
Incline.
those are incline. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was doing incline push-ups with a band and tricep, and that was like the chest part of my workout yesterday. Those were the only two things I did for chest, and I'm hurting today.
I'm fucking jealous.
But I feel like, and that was just like, it's not like I'm going that heavy. I think also what has helped is throwing that TV in there. I've been taking longer breaks because I like look at something for longer, because I'm used to doing like a hit workout. So I'm just like banging it out, going, and then, you know, higher reps, less weight. So now that I'm going heavier again, and then just like taking a full 2 minutes in between, you know, watching another Beyonce video. Which,
what a great idea that TV was. Whose idea was that?
You know what's crazy is that I do have a Apple TV thing out there and a cable box, like that's wireless from like the bedroom that we had it in before that got turned into a nursery or whatever. But there's not a television. I feel like an old man saying this, and a dad, but I'm like, there is not a television station that plays videos, music videos.
It sucks.
I have to go on YouTube and just watch Vivo or whatever.
Yeah. It sucks, dude. I totally miss that. I love music videos.
They're
like the perfect gym companion. People still make them. They're still out there.
They're still out there. You can still watch them, but there's not a television station
that just curates them and runs them.
No,
there should be.
There are still like music stations where it's just like whatever music choice fucking cable stations where it's just like the song.
Yeah.
Where it's like a Spotify list where I'm like,
oh yeah, yeah. It's like a satellite thing. No, I want the videos. MTV now is straight up. It's got the guys from Paulie and the guy from Jersey Shore just doing like a prank show now.
It's crazy.
Like, come on. the ratings are really better on that than fucking just running like lemonade or like
Yeah,
the
seriously.
yeah
I want that again. I want to watch a video or
yeah
like I'll watch a concert. God damn it.
yeah. I'm with you.
Anyways,
You're
well,
old,
so
dude. So am I.
I'm old. Yeah, I want to watch videos while I'm working out because they're fun, especially some of the new ones. They're brilliant.
Yeah, and
I've
like
watched I'm seeing some videos I'm watching right now that I'm just like the cinematography is great.
it's come a
It's
long way from like White Wedding.
yeah,
Where it's just like, wow, was this with a camcorder? And then
yeah.
like it like switches and there's just like you could just tell like they paused it and then moved something and then put like a red flower in there and then like started the
I
camera
mean,
again.
I'd watch what's it? Simply Irresistible as a fucking again. I
Robert
don't know.
Palmer.
Yeah, sure. Cool. Well, one more question. Do you think there's any benefit to eating a certain amount of macros at certain times of the day? I eat high protein, high fat breakfast, moderate carb, high protein lunches and dinners. I work out for about an hour and a half per day. That's from Matthew Moynihan. Love that dude.
Moini.
Always around. Um, um, let's see. High protein,
I'm
high
all over
fat.
the
Go
I'm
ahead.
all over the map on that.
Me too.
So because it's like, yeah, eating so you can eat for performance, right? So that you can have great workouts and make great gains and be able to perform at a high function in a gym or with your lift, or if you're cycling or whatever you're doing. There's a way that you can eat and adjust your macros to benefit that. There's also ways that you can optimize your own hormones to get as lean as possible and kind of stack your macros that way. So it just kind of depends on what you want. I think from an optimum nutrition standpoint, depending on what you want to do, there absolutely is a way. It depends on what you want and what you're doing, and they're all different. Um, for me, the challenge for me is psychology. So it's always, how can I maintain a healthy diet and stay consistent with it so that I can stay as lean as possible in the healthiest way possible. So for me, it's like, what can I do to be the most consistent? So intermittent fasting has opened that door up for me.
Yeah.
And as far as how I'm timing my macronutrients, I try to eat as close to post workout as I can based on when my fast ends. And then I try to have a decent amount of protein so that, because I know it's very bioavailable after hard resistance training. So that's just kind of my little half-ass way
Hack.
that
Yeah.
I hack the macronutrients. So Moynihan, it depends on you and what you want. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Eugene?
I'm the same way. I try I basically because I am also intermittent fasting for the most part I focus on that first meal as my bigger meal. And I focus on making sure that there's a good amount of protein and fats and carbs all in that first meal, and that's pretty big. And I honestly I feel like the hack for me is having that meal around noon or 1 o'clock. That's big. I enjoy it because it's the middle of my day. It's my first one. It's after I've worked out, and I'm not that. I won't beat myself up about it as much.
Yeah.
It might include some of the things like the chips or whatever in it because I feel like I still have time in the rest of the day to kind of not feel weighted down by it and all that stuff. And then by my second meal I try to stay away from anything like the you know, the the things that would weigh me down, which would be, some of those white carbohydrates and stuff like that. And even like try to watch the amount of too much fat that I'm taking in, but still getting the protein. So I usually can end my day with like a pretty decently sized protein and greens kind of situation
So
so
the way
that I
you
can sleep at night better.
and the way you adjust it is if you are going to be a little bit more liberal with your carbohydrates,
It's
try
that
to get
first
those
meal.
as early as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
Midday.
midday. And then for your last meal, pretty much just protein and vegetables if you
Yeah,
can, and complex carbohydrates if you're having those.
for the most part, yeah, but maybe even some rice at dinner just because I can't not. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
but that's even like a minimum amount because I just if I have a big dinner, it's I have a harder time falling asleep and a harder time feeling comfortable at
Yeah.
night. Like feel like I have to stay up for a little bit longer just so my stomach can settle. You
Yeah.
know?
So, I mean, there's tons of things to consider, Moynihan. There's your digestion. There's how well you're resting at night. Um, if what you're doing is working for you, you like your weight, you like how you're able to perform in the gym, and you feel healthy and happy, then I'd say stick with that. I think experimenting is always the best. Everybody's different. So
Yeah.
experimenting. I think there's ways that you could look into, optimum nutrition for performance. So that would be, maybe being, having some carbohydrates pre-workout so that you have a good workout. I don't know. All that stuff is worth looking into and experimenting with.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's it, we feel like we always end up saying like it kind of is based on you and how you feel, but it really is true.
It is. And that being said, there are very specific ways that you can stack those macronutrients to support a specific goal and or activity, and you just have to decide what that is.
Right.
And if you're telling us you wanted to gain weight, then we would say, yeah, I mean, you need to consistently have calories. You need to preload your workouts with carbohydrates so that you could have awesome workouts and go really heavy. And then you
Yeah.
need to have a major refeed post workout with carbohydrates and protein. And then you even need to have some carbs before bed. So, I mean, there's all kinds of shit that you can do. It depends on what you want to do, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's tons of science to it. I mean, yeah, you get, and online there's all, no matter no matter what you're into, there's something online that will tell you how to get there.
Yeah. So, yeah, do some research, figure it out, and don't be afraid to experiment.
Yeah.
That's the best way to do it too.
And if you want, we're not going to have time today, but if you want to give us more specific information about your goals and stuff and what you want and what we would recommend you eat, based on that and the time of day to have it, definitely next time fire away with that question, and we recognize your name. We'll answer the question for sure.
Oh, right. But before I mean, Moynihan just jumped back on
Okay.
to say it one more time, but he has to eat 4,000 calories a day to not lose any weight because he's
Wow.
active throughout the day and he works out daily, and might get a little too carby before bed. Oh, so he's rocking out like 4,000. Right. He's also, using them. He's taking them 75s for a ride, if you remember.
Oh,
Last
that's
time.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So Moynihan, he's putting on some of that muscle, holding on to some of that muscle. So yeah, I mean, I think if your focus is to, because you're so active, to not lose any weight, but you want to keep that muscle on, I think high protein, high fat for breakfast, moderate carbs, and high protein for lunches and dinner. I mean, I think that is a good base
But
for you.
have more carbs for your breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And then, maybe fat a little bit later. I mean, fat's gonna delay the absorption of those nutrients. So you definitely need fat in that diet, but maybe not for that breakfast. Maybe start upping the fat later in the day after you've exercised and after you've had your first couple meals. I mean,
Sounds good. Yeah.
it couldn't hurt to have that fat early on, but maybe, and you need to have fat in your diet, and you should, but maybe have that fat later. And don't be afraid to go be a little bit more liberal with those carbohydrates early on. I think they'll add to your energy in those workouts. And then you can start tapering the carbohydrates later in the day. And you've had more of them, so you should be more satiated. And then you don't have to worry about being too carby before bed, because you've been kind of having those throughout the day a little bit more liberally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
Great.
yeah, that's what I would do, especially if you're having to go 4,000 to maintain. And that's awesome too.
Yeah, man, that's great. You're staying pretty dang active if you're taking in 4,000 calories a day just to not lose weight is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's also that hour and a half workout that you're doing every day. Like, yeah,
you're killing it.
That's great. Stick to it. Yeah. I mean, reach us on social media. Let's see this. Let's get some
Yeah.
of this pig proof, baby.
Yeah, take a pic of each meal. I want to see how you
Yeah.
get that. How you get
How to
4,000
get to that
calories
4,000. That's some rock shit right there.
Yeah.
If you want to reach us, I mean, you can keep watching us on YouTube on our page. We try to do these live ones every week. We are going to do another live one next week and the week after, and then maybe we'll talk about what's going to happen after that, because some things are going to change here at the Cordero household and whatnot. But if you want to watch us live on YouTube, you can do that every Tuesday right now, 2:30 Pacific time. If you want to just reach us on social media and message us or tweet at us or anything, you can do so at the Dumbbells on all platforms. And if you want to email us and ask us a specific question about your nutrition or your training, or you want to gloat a little bit, tell us, that you're throwing up 75s on a bench, or, what have
Eating
you.
4,000 calories a day, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, you can email us at askthedumbbells@gmail.com.
Also, we're still curious as to how gyms are reopening. So
Yes.
we thank Allie for sending that to us today, and the people that contributed in the comments. So let us know. Take some pictures.
Yeah, show us those squares.
Yeah, let us know if you feel safe or not.
Yeah.
And if what's going on with whatever your gym is, wherever it is. So on behalf of myself and Eugene Cordero today, and all the wonderful contributors on YouTube out there chiming in, Matthew Moynihan, Irvin Hubler, Red Ramos, Austin Barbosa, everybody chiming in. We'd like to remind everybody that's out there listening to Train Dirty,
Eat Clean,
and Live in Between.
Yeah.